Vancouver. Welcome, Russell. We got Russell from Vancouver. That's awesome. Rainy. Isn't it always rainy in Vancouver, eh? It's beautiful, though. Philip from Vancouver as well. We got Langley, a monsoon. Well, I hope everybody's okay there. Edmonton, welcome. Welcome here. And that's great. Everybody just put in the chat where you're from and what the weather's doing. I'm in beautiful Nelson, BC. It's also raining here as well. So it looks like it's raining in a lot of British Columbia. So put in the chat where you're from, and we'll get going shortly where everybody's let us know where you're from. What's happening in your neck of the woods. That's great. We got people coming in from Alberta. That's awesome. Well, I just wanted to get things going here with an introduction to JG Francoeur. We're so honored to have JG speaking with us tonight. He is a best-selling author. He's the Chief Growth Officer for the Real Estate Investment Network. He's also the founder and CEO of Vishter Property Group. And like I said, he's a best-selling author, and what a guy. So we're so honored to have JG with us. He's a longtime REIN member, and he truly emulates what he teaches. And he's in the trenches and lives and breathes what he teaches people. And he will share some tactics with us tonight. And just wanted to take a chance to welcome JG.
Hey, David, how are you?
How's it going, man? Hey,
fantastic.
I think I might have heard you're going to be talking about desserts and 5-course meals tonight. I mean, that got my attention right away.
Yeah, well, I think, are you more interested in the dessert than anything else? Is that the thing that's more, yeah.
Yeah.
The dessert is what gets everyone's attention. So so that's all good. We're definitely going to be talking about 5-course meals tonight. We're going to be talking about real estate tonight. So, hey, everyone, Philip, hello. Everyone on the call, hello. Most of you are from the Alberta West Coast area. This event is targeted to you in the West Coast, which is fantastic. We got some really exciting things tonight. And this web event is going to rock and roll. And even though sometimes on a lot of web events, you are going to, a lot of people are used to passively listening. They kind of just listen. They're trying to do all kinds of things while listening to web events. I'm going to engage you throughout the webinar. So just like David asked you to type in where you're from and what the weather was like, I'm going to be asking you questions throughout this because I want to make this event as practical for you as possible. And to do that, I'm going to engage you. That's the only way I can make it practical for you. So first of all, let me be the second, because David was the first, to welcome you to this Winning in Real Estate event. I'm really pumped to be here, and I'm really pumped for you to be here. Now, for me, it's 9:05 p.m., and I'm ready to go. And for you, it's roughly somewhere between 6 and 7 p.m., so I hope you're ready to go. Now, let's dive into it. First and foremost, I want to engage you right out of the hop, and I want to find out, why are you here? What brought you here this evening? So go in the chat and tell me what brought you here. What is it that you're looking for from this event? And just, I've heard all the answers over the years, so I'm just happy to hear, and I just love to hear what brought you here. What is the information you're looking for? What is the one, you might be looking for a nugget, you might be looking for research, you might be looking for information, you might be looking for how-to strategies, you might be looking for community. I'm not 100% sure of what brought you here specifically, which is why I want to make this event as practical as possible. Some of the common answers I hear are things like research. I want to know what's going on in the marketplace. I want to know if I'm doing it right. More common answers I hear, and I'm seeing them here, is I want to know the how-to strategies. I want to know how to fix and flip. I want to know how to rent to own. I want to know if I should fix and flip and add to my portfolio. I want to know what's happening in the BC market right now. Perfect. So we're looking at some more. I'm just reading some of the answers coming in. Learn how to fix and flip is actually one of the answers that just came in. Information, Tori says, information to make a wise investing decision instead of just rushing into it. Very good. That's very good. Learning your business model as you're in real estate. Fantastic, Russell. That's great. Perfect. So that's awesome. We are going to talk about actually the 3 pillars of real estate tonight. So I hope you got a pen and paper, pen, paper, and get ready, because you're going to take notes tonight. I'm going to get deep into real estate. I'm going to get into the how-tos. I'm going to get into research fundamentals. I'm going to talk about community. I'm going to talk about environment. I'm going to talk about culture. So I'm going to give you the 3 pillars of real estate as we go. So get yourself a pen, get yourself a paper, and let's get ready to rock and roll. Now, before I jump into the details, let me take a minute and introduce myself. My name is J.G. Francoeur. I'm from Timmins, Ontario, which is in Northern Ontario, which some of you might know where that is. Let me know. If you know where Timmins is, put it in the chat. If you have no idea where it is, it's quite north in Ontario. It's kind of the same kind of parallel as even Edmonton, maybe a little more north than Edmonton. We get very similar weather patterns to Edmonton and north of Edmonton. Minus 30, minus 40 is a regular occurrence in Timmins in the wintertime. Over the years, I've been an entrepreneur for the last 15 years. And over the last 15 years, I did essentially, my career has been about 16 years long so far. And the first 8 years was I did business without real estate. And the second 8 years, the last 8 years, I've been doing business with real estate. And I'm going to talk about that as I go forward. Now, in that 16-year period, I've built and sold 6 different companies. I've authored 4 business books. And my last company was a marketing company that we grew from just me and a business partner up to 170 employees in 14 countries. Now, I actually documented that process. I documented that journey, and I put that journey in this book, messymanager.com. And you can actually get a free copy of that book. If you go to messymanager.com, you get a free copy of that book. It's my contribution to the world. So get yourself a free copy if you'd like. If you're interested in growing your small business, this could be a great book for you. Now, in that process of building this big, substantial company with 170 employees in 14 countries, I did some amazing work with some amazing people like Richard Branson. We did several projects with Richard Branson, shared the stage with Richard Branson. It was absolutely amazing. I was business partners with Bob Proctor. Many of you recognize him from the hit movie, The Secret. Which was fantastic. And also Tony Robbins. We did a lot of work with Tony Robbins. We did marketing and book publishing for many of his companies and his clients over the years, and shared the stage with him many, many times, and shared a lot of great lessons. I'm actually going to be sharing some of the lessons I learned from these 3 amazing individuals here tonight, because even though we're here to talk about real estate, this is about more than just real estate. This is about more than just real estate. It's about real life. And life often gets in the way of real estate. And we're going to talk about that as we go forward. Now, what I found out, and it took me a while to get this, is it's not about how hard you work for your money. It's about how hard your money works for you. Remember I said, I've been at this for about 16 years. The first 8 years was without real estate. Then I learned this lesson. Now, it only took, roughly $50 million of revenue for me to learn this lesson. So, I'm a slow learner. But after I picked it up on it, the last 8 years of my career, I've been doing it with real estate. And that's where it's about how hard your money works for you. That's the key lesson here. Now, that's a lot of reason why people get into real estate. They want that wealth. They want that financial freedom. They want that financial certainty. They want that financial security. And we're going to talk about all of those things tonight. Now, my very first real estate investment decision was actually when I founded my company, Vistra Property Group. I became a client of Rain, and that was in 2013. Probably the wisest business decision I've ever made. And when I sold my marketing company in 2018, I actually joined Rain as a chief growth officer because I was so passionate about what they were able to do for me that I wanted to spread the message. I wanted to make sure that I educated real estate investors. I wanted to make sure that real estate investors didn't make the same mistakes that so many investors make, because that's the thing with real estate, folks, is if you make one mistake, it can wipe you out. The mistakes in real estate can be deadly. They're so expensive to make. You don't want to make those mistakes. That's why I joined Rain in 2013. And from 2013 to today, I focused my business in 3 markets: Peterborough, Ontario, Orillia, Ontario, and Hamilton, Ontario. And I've done all of these various projects: residential, multifamily, mixed use, land development, joint ventures, partnerships, buy and holds, and fix and flips as well. I use all of those strategies. Now, some of those strategies are attractive to you. Some of you are thinking, fantastic, I'd love to know how to do fix and flip. What about joint ventures? What about partnerships? What about land development? We're actually going to talk a lot about how-to strategies in just a little bit. So let's keep moving. So I'm still a very active real estate investor today. I'm still this every day, day in and day out. I'm the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of Vistra Property Group. So I'm still a very active real estate investor. I'm in the trenches. I'm a general. I'm in there doing it every day, negotiating deals, building properties, doing fixes, doing flips, buying and selling on a day-to-day basis. I also think I'm a great husband, but the jury's still out. You'll have to ask my wife about that. So total, folks, all this to say, it's not my first rodeo. I've done over $75 million of business in real estate in the last 16 years. It isn't my first rodeo, and I'm excited to be sharing this with you today because you came here because you want to find out what does it take to win in real estate? What does it truly take? That's really the important question. What does it truly take? And I'll tell you, it takes focus. It takes laser focus. And I bring this up right at the beginning of the presentation here because I'm going to ask you a favor. And it's not a favor for me, it's a favor for you. I want you to shut it down for 60 minutes. This presentation is going to take roughly 40 to 50 to 60 minutes, depending on how fast I go and how many questions I have to answer. I want you to shut down social media, quit your email, get off the internet, and pay attention. That's what it takes to be successful in real estate. It takes laser focus. I'm going to share some real nuggets with you tonight, but I need you to be focused. I need you to pay attention. I need you to put away the distractions. So if you plan on just listening to this passively, that's cool because I can't see you, so I got no idea what you're doing. But I'm just telling you what it takes. You want to be successful, have that focus. Shut it down, pay attention. Now, as you can tell, I want to know, can I shoot straight with you? So I'm going to ask you, before I go forward, I want you to put in the chat, which I can see right here to my left. I want to know if I can shoot straight with you. So say yes or say no. If you want me to shoot straight with you, because tonight I'm taking the gloves off. I'm not sugarcoating anything about real estate investing. There are too many people out there that look at real estate investing with rose-colored glasses, and it hurts people. So I want to be able to shoot straight with you. So put yes in the chat so I can shoot straight with you. And if you don't put yes in the chat, then I know you're not paying attention, and I know you're on social media. Okay, a few more people. Okay, keep going. Sure thing. I see a couple of people. A few people aren't so sure. Yeah, this is good. This is good. Here's what I'd like to ask you. I'm going to right out of the gate, you told me I can shoot straight with you, which I really appreciate. So right out of the gate, I'm going to start by asking some straight shooting questions, which is this. Who thinks that I'm going to sell something in this presentation? Who thinks that? Put it in the chat. Do you think I'm going to sell you something? Yes or no? The answer is I'm definitely. Promise not to disappoint you because everybody's saying yes. I promise I'm not going to disappoint you, but I'm going to make you a deal. I am not going to spend the whole presentation selling you on our course. I'm going to talk about the course at the end of the presentation. It's an online program. It's 125 lessons, 15 modules in 78 hours. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. It is literally the first of its kind in Canada. First of its kind in Canada. I'm not going to talk about it again until the very end. From this point forward, it's going to be all content, and I'm going to shoot straight with you all the way. But I want to tell you, this is coming. So at the end, if you want to get off, that's totally cool. I advise you stay on because you've never seen anything like this. But I'm not going to be selling this throughout. So let's jump in. People think that we're in the business of real estate. But the fact is we're in the business of financial freedom. Now, let me ask you this, folks. When I ask you, and again, I'm going to keep engaging you throughout the whole presentation. This is not a passive talk. This is an active talk. So I'm going to keep getting you to engage in the chat. Let me ask you this. If financial freedom is what brought you here tonight, if that is part of what you're searching for, if part of what you're searching for is financial security, financial certainty, or financial freedom, one of those three things, then put yes in the chat. Let me know that you're searching for that. Because that's the business. That's what listen to this. We happen to do real estate. We happen to provide real estate services. We happen to be real estate housing providers, but we're in the business of financial freedom. Now I see everyone saying, yes, this is what they want. So here's how I'm going to start shooting straight with you from the beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't easy. Do you truly understand what it means to be financially free, to not have to worry about money day in and day out like most people? Do you think this is easy? Do you think you can this isn't something that is for the faint of heart. This isn't something that you could just work here and there passively on and achieve this. This is something that is a big objective. It's a big idea. And you know what? You deserve it, but you're going to have to work for it, and you're going to have to pay the price for it. What do I mean by that? When I worked with Bob Proctor in 2008 and 9 and 10, Bob used to always tell me, he'd ask me, he'd say, what are your goals this year? And I'd tell him my goals. And he was my mentor, but he's also my business partner. And I used to tell him my goals, and he would say, are you prepared to pay the price for that? And I thought to myself, what does that mean? And I had to ask him, I said, what do you mean pay the price? Like, is it going to cost me money? He says, absolutely, it's going to cost you money. If there's anything you want in life, any goal, any objective, anything you want, there's going to be a price to pay. You're going to have to pay a price. You're going to have to work hard. So there's going to be a price to pay from an emotional perspective. There's a price to pay from a spiritual perspective. You're going to have to grow as a person. You're going to have to become a better person to get that goal. The other thing you're going to have to pay, you're going to have to invest some time, and you're going to have to invest some money. So there's 4 things you're going to have to do. You have to be willing to pay the price. Your goal, folks, is financial freedom. That is a big goal. That's a big idea, and it's a beautiful idea. But it comes with a price tag. Now, in this web event, I have no hidden agenda. I'm not selling any real estate. I'm not a real estate agent, and I'm not offering some free meetup here. That's not what this is about. But you got to be prepared, and I put this out there right from the beginning because you asked me to shoot straight with you, so I want to shoot straight with you, which is there's a price to pay. And one of the first mistakes, because part of what I'm going to deliver here tonight is I'm going to deliver you the 3 pillars of building a phenomenal real estate portfolio, building a phenomenal real estate business, and moving towards financial freedom. If you think you're going to be financially free after this web event, let me tell you, you're wrong. But this will move you forward. But I will say this, the price you're going to have to pay is you're going to have to make a commitment to this journey. And the first mistake most people make is they think they can achieve this big, grand idea called financial freedom and financial security and financial certainty. They think they can achieve this by going to free meetups and just watching YouTube all day, every day. This doesn't work. I've had so many people like Wayne Hillier tell me this themselves. I've heard this many, many times. Like Wayne, here's Wayne telling me now.
I'm glad you brought up paying for courses and the YouTube thing, because I'm so tired of people saying, I could just get that on YouTube. And I'll tell you right now, and you will agree with me, I tried. It doesn't effing work. I wasted 3 years, like every day, constantly on my phone, just finding these little articles and trying to get this free information. It doesn't work. I did nothing for 3 years. I go to 1 acre event, everything changes.
So we've heard this time and time in and time again and time again. We've been doing this now for 27 years, folks. RAIN has been around for 27 years. Our members, our clients have done over 40,000 deals, resulting in over $5.4 billion of transactions. We've served over 151,000 investors coast to coast in 27 years. So that's a little bit about RAIN. But your question, what brought you here is, what does it take? What does it take to win in real estate? And dispelling the first myth, and if you're taking notes, this is a great one to take. If it was only about information, we'd all have 6-pack abs and be billionaires. So it's not just about information. It's about more than information. Okay? Now, the 3 pillars to real estate success are the following. First, how-to strategies. You got to know the how-to strategies. You got to know what strategy to use. Second, research fundamentals. You need to know where to invest, what city, what community, where the real estate market is going. Like I said, in real estate, everyone is always focused on the growth of real estate and the shiny ball. I spend much more time defending and making sure I don't make a mistake, because mistakes cost money. Mistakes can be detrimental in this. So I make sure that I'm not looking to make mistakes. And the third thing, and probably the most important point of this whole thing, is the community, culture, and environment. Those are the 3 fundamentals to building a winning real estate business with a winning real estate portfolio that is going to help you get closer towards financial certainty, financial security, and financial freedom. So let's dive into each one. When it comes to how-to strategies, one of the mistakes that many investors make is they think about real estate in a one-dimensional state. And there are actually 5 different ways to win in real estate that a lot of people don't understand. The first one is cash flow. Many people on this, listening to this right now, understand that cash flow is really important. And we consider it like the shrimp cocktail. We consider it like the appetizer of the real estate investing world. Cash flow, very important, but only one way to win. Secondly, many people, especially there are many people in this right now listening to this that are from Vancouver or perhaps Toronto, and you are very familiar with the fact that appreciation is another way to win. And in fact, appreciation in those markets, specifically Vancouver and Toronto, getting cash flow in Toronto or getting cash flow in Vancouver, very, very difficult. Getting appreciation, however, that's often possible. On the flip side, where I'm from in Timmins, Ontario, you can get let's just say a duplex or a threeplex, let's say a threeplex unit, like a 3-unit building in Timmins, cash flow, $1,000, $1,500, sometimes $2,000 a month. That is a whack load of cash flow, but it doesn't appreciate nearly as fast as buildings in Toronto or Vancouver. So that's okay. Those are the 2 of 5 ways to win. The third, and my favorite, and the reason we make it the steak, the reason we make it the main meal, is because it's the only guaranteed one of all of them, which is what we call principal buy down. Now get this, whether the market's going up, whether the market's going down, whether you're getting cash flow, whether you're not getting cash flow, when those things are not certain. Cash flow is not certain. Appreciation is certainly not certain. If you bought in Toronto or in Vancouver 2 years ago, you might actually be a little undervalued right now compared to where you bought. Maybe. Depends on how well you bought. It's very possible. But principal buy down always happens. Come hell or high water, principal buy down is a guaranteed to happen. You're either going to achieve principal buy down or you're not going to own that property anymore. Now let me ask this question. Who pays for that principal buy down? Yeah, that's correct. It's the tenants. It's the tenants that pay for that. So it's not you. So that's fantastic. And it's the only guaranteed one. Now, the fourth way to win in the dessert, the lemon meringue pie, that's David's favorite, by the way. The lemon meringue pie is what we call designed appreciation. That's what some people call forced appreciation, which is the repairs, the renovations, the maintenance, the fixing up of the property. You buy something that needs love. You replace kitchens and counters and floors and paint and landscaping. Those are ways to force up the appreciation, and I'm going to talk about that today. And the last piece about real estate that many people don't understand is real estate is the best annuity out there. See, at Rain, we have a program called 3-8-17, which is 3 properties is financial certainty, 8 properties is financial security, and 17 properties is financial freedom. That's kind of the way we've designed it. Now, fun fact, we designed that program 20 plus years ago. You know what's interesting? It's still the same program today. Now, back then, properties were a very different value than they are today. What you used to buy for $200,000 in Vancouver and Toronto, you're now buying for millions in those markets. So why is it still the same 3-8-17 today? The reason is because of inflation. And that's one of the beautiful things about real estate is inflation, it follows inflation. As a result, it is the best going annuity out there today. It is like when I see a house, I look at it and I think it's like a little ATM machine just spitting out money month after month after month, growing in value month after month after month. So that's why I say it's a great annuity. Now, those are the 5 ways to win. So when you're calculating, if you're making notes, when you're calculating your return on investment, I want you to look at all 5 of these different ways to win, not just the cash flow, not just the appreciation, not just the principal buy down, not just the forced appreciation. Look at all of it, okay? Now, let's look at some strategies. The first strategy, which is this is a how-to strategy, and most people know this because most people come to real estate with this strategy in mind, which is what we call buy and hold. Now, buy and hold, especially in today's marketplace, especially with today's lending criteria and the mortgage stress test and all these things, buy and hold is one of, if not the most expensive investing how-to strategy out there. What I mean by that is it requires a lot of capital. It requires a lot of capital now, and you get wealthy later, 5, 8, 10, 12, 15 years later. So here's what it looks like. I'm going to give you some real scenarios here real properties that I own, real properties I've done. So I purchased this property for $483,000. It's a duplex, 2 units, up and down. I invested $50,000 of cash in this property. It's appreciated $100,000 since I've owned it in the first 5 years. In the first 5 years, it generated $30,000 of positive net cash flow. That's net. And I paid down $50,000 of mortgage pay down. So if I look at my ROI on that, and that was in the first 5 years of me owning that property, this is a 72% ROI per year. Now, is this good? Tell me yes or no if you think this is a good investment. Let me know. What do you think? Absolutely, this is good. 72% per year, it's fantastic. I mean, that's excellent. But as I show you other strategies, you're going to see this gets expensive. This gets expensive. For example, if you to do this same purchase, that property now is worth about $600,000. Well, yeah, 583. It's well probably 625 now. And if you were to purchase that today, you'd have to put over $120,000 of deposit, of down payment on it. So it gets very expensive very quickly. So let's look at another how-to strategy. This is one of my favorites that's working really, really well right now. And it's called fix and flip and add to your portfolio. This is where you buy a property that needs some serious love, something that needs some work, something that you can force up the appreciation. So you're using the fourth way to win. And then once you force up the appreciation, you refinance the property, pull as much capital out as possible, and rinse and repeat. Let me show you. So I purchased this property in, this was last year, about 18 months ago. I bought this property for $257,000, and it cost me $10,000 for closing and carrying costs. Now, I invested $30,000 into the renovation. So we did kitchen and floors and paint, and we added a bathroom and so on and so forth. So 257 plus 10,000 is 267, plus the 30,000 I put into the reno. So I'm into this property total for 297,000. Now I reappraised that property 3 months after I did the work for 350,000. I pulled out 80% loan to value. I pulled out 80% of my capital, meaning the bank wrote me a check for $280,000. Now, here's how this shakes out. Because think of it this way, I invested $297,000 total, and the bank paid me out $280,000. So I'm only left with $17,000 in this property. That's very important, folks. That's very important, because that's a lot less than the other example I just gave you. The other example, the buy and hold, I showed you how it was from $50,000 up to $125,000 of capital that required. This one only needed $17,000. That's 10 times less, meaning you can do 10 of these deals for every one of those deals. Very different scenario. Now here's the best part. That's not even the best part yet. The best part is this. This property, after its renovation, it gets some premium rents. And as a result, this property cash flows $6,000 a year net cash flow. The cash on cash return on investment is 35%. That's just the cash on cash return, which means this is the way I look at it, folks. And if you're making notes, you want to look at it this way. Remember there's 5 ways to win. The first way is cash flow. So the way I look at this is if I'm into this property for $17,000, and if I'm netting $6,000 a year, within 3 years, I will have paid this property up. I will no longer have any of my money in this property. Then comes the best part. And if you're making notes, you want to write this term down, which means unlimited return or infinite return. And when you get into infinite return properties, that's where the real money's made. That's where the real wealth is created. So if I consider my $6,000 a year cash on cash plus the appreciation of this property plus the mortgage pay down on a 5-year period, I'm making 474% ROI on this property. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And then after 5 years, it becomes infinite because I have no more money in this property. Incredible. Love this strategy right now. Love this strategy. Now, I got a question from Elgin. Did you have to pay the $257 upfront to purchase the property? Great question, Elgin. What we did is we put up 20% of $257. So what's that? About $55,000. And we did a private, we used private funds to buy the rest privately. We did the renovations, and then we refinanced with an A lender. Great question, Elgin. Great question. So the third how-to strategy, and this one's very popular because the TV shows make it look so easy, and this is called fix and flip and sell. So the one I just presented with fix and flip and then add it to your portfolio. This is fix and flip, and then you're selling it off to the marketplace. Now, the reason this is an important strategy is because, and the way I want you to look at these strategies, folks, is don't think of these as which strategy am I going to use. A lot of people look at these with single-minded focus. They think, oh, I should do just buy and hold, or I should do just fix and flip and sell. Actually, in today's marketplace, to be a successful real estate investor and to be truly build a real estate investment business, something substantial, you're actually going to need to use all of these strategies. Now, you may not use them all at the same time, but you're going to go from strategy to strategy to strategy based on the market conditions, and I'll show you that as we go forward. So the third how-to strategy is fix and flip and sell. And this one's important because this one puts cash in your pocket. And as you all very well know, if in this business, the real estate business requires cash flow. It requires money to be continually invested in these properties. As a result of that, you need active income. Now, you may have a really good job where you might be making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and you have surplus cash flow that you want to funnel into real estate. Awesome. But then one day you may decide, I don't want to go to work anymore. I want to just do real estate full time. This can help you achieve that. Now, here's a property we did called Strathern Property. The one on the left is what I bought. The one on the right is what we sold. And here are the numbers. We bought the property for $260,000. By the way, Elgin, we use the same strategy here. We put 20% of our own money down. We use private funds to pay the rest off. We put $20,000 of renovations into it. Our holding and closing costs were $18,350. Now, for Elgin and everyone else listening, the reason that number is so high, holding and closing costs, is because I'm using private funds. Private funds are expensive. You're paying 8, 10, 12% interest, but you're able to leverage your money really, really well. So as long as it makes sense in your budget, then you can go ahead and do that. So total, I'm into this property for $298,000. I sold the property 4 months later for $345,000. So we made $46,650. Now, the question you're probably asking yourself, because I can see the wheels turning, even though I can't see you, I can see the wheels turning. You're thinking, okay, if you make $120,000 a year or $80,000 a year, I only got to do 2 or 3 of these to replace my income. That's correct. That is 100% correct. A lot of people use the fix and flip and sell as part of their overall portfolio. So what they'll do is they'll do, for example, they'll do one buy and hold. They'll do a good solid buy and hold to be the basis and the foundation of their portfolio. Then they might do a fix and flip, get some cash flow back. So then they put 40 grand in their bank. Then they go do a fix, flip, and add to their portfolio. So they'll go find another one, they'll fix it, flip it, and then add it to their portfolio. And then so you use all 3 of those strategies. It makes for a phenomenal real estate portfolio when you use all the strategies. So start thinking about it from that perspective. Now let me keep going. And this is the last strategy I'm going to present tonight, how-to strategy, simply because I don't have time. I would be here all night if I was to present all of the options. So this is the 4th one. And the reason I put this one in here is because this strategy requires the least amount of upfront capital. There are people listening to this that don't have $50, $100, $200, $300,000 of capital to start with. They have 5, 10, 15,000. If you have a smaller amount of capital, assignments is often a great strategy, and I'll explain why. Here's a deal I did. This property is called Chestnut. Now, as you can see, look at the shape of it, guys. It is in terrible shape. It is in horrible shape. It doesn't even have a window up top. You can see it's empty there. There's no window up there. It's called natural ventilation. I bought this property for $130,000. I assigned it for $160,000. It cost me $5,000 to close this property and hold this property. So it was a $25,000 profit in 3 weeks. Best part, I never touched the property. I never touched the property. I never even opened the door. I put it up, and here's how this works, folks. I put it under contract. I put down a deposit. When I found this property and I purchased it privately, it's very difficult to do assignments through real estate agents, but you can do it privately, which we'll show you how to do. So what I did is I put a $3,000 deposit on this property. Okay. And then I assigned the contract to the next buyer, someone who wanted to do a full fix and flip on this property. And as a result, I never needed to put any additional cash into it. So the only capital I ever put into this property was $3,000. That's it. Now anybody can do that. You can get $3,000 on a credit card. You can get, so you don't need a lot of capital to do assignments. Okay. And it could be a very lucrative, very, very lucrative strategy. Again, what I would say is this, assignments do not come around every day. In the last year, I've done 3 assignments and I'm very, very active. If you can do 1 assignment every year or 2 years, I would consider yourself awesome. I would not build your entire financial future around just doing assignments. But you will run into these deals, especially when you're active in the marketplace, and they're very lucrative when you do. Now, folks, those are just 4 of the many how-to strategies you're going to use. Land developments. I've done lots of land development where I buy land and I build duplexes, 3plexes, 4plexes on it. Rent to own, pre-construction, joint ventures, second mortgages, LPs, limited partnerships, real estate investment trusts, REITs, multifamily value add. These are all how-to strategies that are very important. And like I said, they're tools in your tool belt. So picture yourself with a tool belt around your waist right now. These how-to strategies is like, one of them's your hammer, one of them's your drill, one of them's your screwdriver, one of them's your measuring tape. They're all tools that you're going to use. So you can't just go into a construction project with just a hammer, because then everything looks like a nail. It's the same thing with real estate. You have to consider you got to consider the following facts to choose your how-to strategy. And it's this is what I call the secret 4, which is choose your how-to strategy based on your goals, based on your market, based on your market cycle. And we're going to talk about market cycle next, and based on your resources. Okay. Based on your resources. What I mean by your resources is your time, your money, and your knowledge. Now, what do I mean by time, money, knowledge? Well, some of you have a lot of time to spare. Some of you have no time to spare. Some of you are busy executives, busy managers, busy with jobs, 2, 3, 4 kids. You don't have very much time. On the flip side, some of you have a lot of money, but little time and little knowledge. Some of you have a lot of time and a lot of knowledge, but no money. Doesn't matter what your ratio is of time, money, and knowledge, there are strategies for you. And this is what you got to base it on. Your goals, your market cycle, and your resources. Now, any questions on this so far? Just gonna read some notes here. See if any questions. You guys are loving it. Okay, awesome. Is this good, by the way? Tell me if it's good. Put it in the chat. Is this good? Very good. Awesome. Thank you, folks. Okay, so we just covered the first pillar. That's just the first pillar, which is how-to strategies. The second pillar is the research fundamentals. Now, this is where I'm going to blow your mind, because as if I haven't, I hope I've already blown your mind. But if I haven't, I'm really going to blow it now, which is like this. Research fundamentals are the key part that very few people talk about. Now, the thing that very few people knows is 27 years ago, if I rewound this tape 27 years ago, RAIN brought research to real estate. Before RAIN, there was no research fundamentals on how to judge where a market was going. It truly was the research, the real estate investors 30 years ago were really market speculators, which is why so many people got so hurt in real estate. We developed a research formula. We developed what's called a long-term success formula that tells you exactly what drives the real estate market. It is not a surprise, folks. We know exactly where the real estate market is going in every city across Canada because it's based on fundamentals. Let me show you what it is. You're going to want to take fast notes because I'm going to go quick. This is the long-term real estate success formula. And it all starts, folks, with the gross domestic product of a region. Now, I'm not talking about gross domestic product of our country. That's important too. But I'm talking about you in Edmonton. What's your GDP doing? And you in Langley, what's your GDP doing? And you in Timmins, and you in Peterborough, Ontario, and you in Orillia, Ontario, and you in Abbotsford, and you in Vancouver. What's your GDP doing relative to your province, relative to your country? Are you growing your GDP? Yes or no? Is it growing? Is it growing faster than the province? Is it growing faster than the country? Then the reason that's important is because if your GDP is growing, then I can tell you that where GDP is growing, employment will grow. And where the employment grows, the population grows. And where the population grows, there's an increase in rental demand. When there's an increase in rental demand, there's a decrease in vacancies. Happens every time. Then once the vacancies come down, the rents go up. Just think about it. When the market's super tight, landlords start increasing their rents. Then we get to a point where the rents get so high, folks, that it actually pushes people into buying property. That's where the property purchase demand goes up. And then you have increased property prices. This is what drives a real estate investment market, folks. This is what drives a real estate investment market. And there's two good examples that I'm super familiar with because I'm in Aurelia and I'm in Peterborough. I have an office in Peterborough, but I invest in Aurelia, Peterborough, and Hamilton. These two markets, folks, are perfect examples of this, where GDP has been outpacing the province, outpacing the country. Employment's been going to that area, which leads to the population going to that area, which leads to more rentals, decreased vacancies, more rents. And as a result, property prices are going up. We've been on this trajectory now, folks, in those markets for the last several years. And we saw it coming. I'll give you an example. Rain was promoting to invest in Hamilton, Ontario, which some of you are familiar with and some of you aren't. But we've been promoting to invest in Hamilton since 2004, when nobody thought Hamilton would become anything. Aurelia has been on the map since 2012. Peterborough is relatively new on the map, but we knew it was coming. Now, folks, the beauty is the opposite is also the same. When gross domestic product is shrinking, unemployment starts to increase because there's less jobs and people go where the jobs are. So if the jobs leave, people leave. The population starts to decline. When the population decline, there's a decreased rental demand, which means vacancies go up, which means the rents have got to come down. It's just normal. It's supply and demand. Then there's an oversupply of property and people think, why would I buy a property? I'll just go rent. The rents are so cheap right now. So then there's decreased property prices. And there's no better example than that, folks, in Alberta. Alberta's been on this trajectory since 2016, 2017. This has been ongoing for some time. And it's not because the mortgage stress test didn't help Alberta. It didn't help Alberta, but it's the oil that was driving Alberta's economy. They had problems with that. As a result, the GDP started shrinking, and that just flowed. This whole formula just continued to flow back with all throughout Edmonton, all throughout Calgary, all throughout Red Deer, all throughout all of Alberta, in fact. Okay? So very, very important. That is the long-term success real estate formula. Now, in every market, there's what we call a market cycle. Now, I don't know how you're feeling right now because I can't physically see you, but typically at this point when I'm doing this talk live in front of real people, I start seeing like the big eyes, like, oh my God, there's so much to real estate. Yes. Remember at the beginning, I told you have to be willing to pay the price. This is what I'm talking about. You got to be prepared to invest the time, the information, the knowledge. This is what we've been doing for 27 years. So in every market, there's a cycle. There's a boom, a slump, and a recovery. And based on where the market is in its cycle, you have to employ different strategies. Aha! Now this, nobody talks about, people. Nobody talks about this. Everybody talks about fix and flip. Let me look at the bottom line, fix and flip. Now, when you're in a boom, every fix and flip person, especially at the end of recovery, all the way to the middle of the boom, the fix and flippers out there are absolute geniuses. They're absolute genius. You can't make a mistake fixing and flipping when you're at the end of a recovery, beginning of a boom or middle of a boom. But at the end of a boom and the beginning of a slump and then the middle of a slump, you can't do anything right. You have to change your strategy. And if you're asking yourself, why do fix and flippers get hurt? It's because they don't change their strategy when the market changes. You have to match your market to your strategy. And this is something nobody talks about. Now, folks, and I got someone asking me about where do I think Vancouver is today. And I'm actually going to talk about that. We have an event coming up, ACRE, the Authentic Canadian Real Estate event. Acre. It's a real estate investor summit. I'll talk about it at the end. It's coming up in Vancouver, November 1st, 2nd, 3rd. We're actually going to announce exactly where Vancouver is. We're actually going to announce where all of the BC markets are, the top 10 BC real estate investment markets, where they are. First of all, where are the top 10? And second of all, where are they in their cycle? Which one's in boom, which one's in slump, which one's in recovery, which part, so on and so forth. So that information's coming. Now, folks, here's the thing. Believe it or not, I just shared with you some quite phenomenal information. Many people at this point are blown away by what we've taught them. And I am sad to report that despite knowing all of that, you're still going to be stuck. You're still going to be stuck in your quest to financial freedom. And the reason for that is because it's not how-to strategies that stop you. And it's not research fundamentals that stop you. It's what we've seen people go through for the last 27 years, and we call them the 8 great weights. These are the reasons that people get stuck in real estate. No money, no time, no opportunity, wrong economy, wrong partner, family issues, lack of knowledge. The first seven, the ones I just read, you want the straight goods. You asked me to be honest with you. You asked me to be straight up with you. Those first 7, folks, are bullshit. They're excuses. You, me, and every other real estate investor in the world has used those 7 as excuses for years, decades, centuries, but it's bullshit. Don't stop lying to yourself. These 7 are excuses. But that last one, that one's real. That's fear. Fear is what stops all of us. I remember my first door, folks. This is a picture of my first door. I still own that building today. Beautiful building. I was so scared to make that investment. I had to put a down payment of $30,000, and it was every penny I had to my name, and I worked like a dog for years to get to that, just to save up $30,000. I mean, it was everything to me. I had just come off of a very difficult business that went wrong. I was $250,000 in debt. I found a way to claw my way out of that. Finally have $30,000 in the bank, and to make this first investment, you have no idea how scared I was. I was scared shitless. But I knew that if I wanted something bad enough, I had to get over all my excuses. And I knew that I had to forget. I could either forget everything and run, or I can face everything and rise. That day I decided to face everything and rise. Now, Janet LePage is another amazing example of this. This young lady is 35 or 36 years old. She's quite young, in her mid-30s. She started not only about 8 years ago with one property. And it took, just like you, just like me, just like every other real estate investor, was scared out of her wits to make that first investment. You know where she is today? I just interviewed her last week for an event we're doing. She is going to be at the Acre event, the Acre Real Estate Investor Summit in Vancouver. She is going to be a keynote speaker on Saturday morning, and I was interviewing her about that. Get this, folks, she has 15,000 apartment units. She is the second largest landlord in all of Phoenix, Arizona. Mind-blowing stuff. Started just like you, just like me, one property, scared out of her wits. This isn't about information, it's about action, folks. And one of the things that Tony Robbins taught me is knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. Action is power. Knowledge is not power. People come, they go to free meetups, they watch YouTube, they read reports, they think knowledge is power, but it's not. Do not fool yourself. Knowledge is only potential power. The action is where the power lives. The action. You have to bust through your fear. And I was telling someone earlier today, I was being interviewed by the media, and they were asking me, they said, what do you say to people that are scared to make their first real estate investment or their second real estate investment? What do you say to those people? And I said, I say to them that it never goes away. And they were quite shocked by that. The media person said to me, oh, wow, I didn't think you'd say that. And I said, you know what? It never goes away. I call that the terror barrier. This was taught to me by my former mentor. And the terror barrier never goes away, but it does move and it does shift. So at first, my first property, it was $30,000 of my money. It was a $296,000 deal, and I was scared out of my wits. Today, I buy $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 deals all day long, cash, and I can do it. I do it often. I'm in Europe. I'm out of the country. I don't even look at the properties anymore if I know what's right for me. So I'm very comfortable in that range. But when I do investment decisions that are $5 and $10 million, then I get a little bit scared. I get scared. I'm still fearful because that's my new threshold. So your threshold, folks, is where it is. It doesn't matter, but you got to push through it. You have to go on the other side of the threshold. And what I recommend as your next step is our online program called Real Estate Investing in Canada. Now, many of you know that book, Real Estate Investing in Canada by Don R. Campbell. That is the all-time best-selling book of real estate investing for Canadians. This is a book for Canadians, by Canadians, in Canada, in a Canadian system. This is not an American system adapted. This is a system developed in Canada for Canadians. That book is the all-time bestseller. And what we've done for the first time ever, and this is brand new, first time you're hearing about it, this is just literally hot off the press, where we are releasing that program in an online program. Now, it is the teachers, the professors of this program are Don R. Campbell himself, Jennifer Hunt, who happens to be our vice president of research. So all that research fundamentals I was just telling you about, she's the one who comes up with that. She teaches this program, as well as our chief executive officer and my business partner, Patrick Francie, who's been in business and in real estate for more than 35 years. Now, this online program, okay, is absolutely incredible. It's got, like I said, 78 hours of content, 125 lessons, all built in to 15 modules. Now, every module, folks, has a video component to it, where it's got interactive video, very, very well done, very, very good. Now, my favorite part isn't really the video, although I love watching the videos and they're so educational and so informative. My favorite part is the fact that every module has a PDF and has a system component to it. This isn't a course. This is a program. This is a system. So in this example, for example, look at this module, module 5, your financial house. We actually give you all of the documents, all of the templates, all of the information, everything for you to download and do the work yourself. So it becomes your real estate investing system. The same one that's helped us groom 151,000 investors, having done over $5 billion worth of deals. This system, you get the whole thing. Includes all the PDFs, includes all the videos. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, here are the 15, and I'll be done, folks, in about 3 minutes, so just bear with me. All 15 modules, and these are the 15 modules listed on the left-hand side of the screen. Everything from discovering your beliefs and establishing your why. Because if you don't know why you want to do real estate, you're not going to be successful. To your time, money, knowledge matrix, to the business of real estate and the power of leverage and organizing your financial house and market research. That's some of the stuff I shared with you today. By the way, folks, the things I share with you today, the 1 hour of content I just gave you, there's 78 hours of that. It's that good. It's that amazing. So we go through absolutely everything. Everything's interactive online lessons. Everything is done by experts that are in the trenches. That, by the way, folks, those 3 people combined have done well over $100 million worth of real estate and have been doing this for a combined 75 years. So these are experts that are in the trenches. It comes with all the worksheets. There's also tests, which is really cool. So you can test your knowledge. Now, the tests are optional, so don't freak out. A lot of people freak out like, I don't want to take a test. Don't worry, it's optional. You don't have to take the test, but it's a good thing. Now, the last 2 points of this. If you're brand new to real estate, you're looking at this as your starting point. By the way, congratulations. This is a phenomenal place for you to start. Secondly, for those of you that are not brand new to real estate, you have 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 properties, but you want to take your game to the next level, this program's also for you, and let me explain why. Let me go back to the beginner real estate investors that are just starting. This process, if you start at number 1 and you work your way all the way down to number 15, this program is a complete step-by-step system on building your real estate investment empire, your real estate investment business, your real estate investment portfolio, which is going to yield you financial security, financial certainty, and financial freedom. Step by step. Start at 1 and work your way down to 15. Now, for those of you that are experienced, what I absolutely love about this program is that it's non-sequential, and we built it that way. Here's what I mean. If, let's just say right now, like I'm in the trenches every day, and let's just say I need help on finding properties. I'm like, okay, let me see if this program can help me find new deals, find new properties. Let me look at this. I can go straight to module 9 and go learn everything I need about finding properties. I'm not going to be lost. I don't have to go through 1 through 8 to understand 9. So it's a non-sequential program. Then I could jump to number 11. Let's just say I have a property that I found. I just want to know about how to analyze it. How does Don R. Campbell, Jennifer Hunt, Patrick Francie talk about analyzing properties? I can do that. I go straight to number 11. Then let's just say I jump back to number 2. And then finally I finished by going to number 14, working with the bank. You can do that. It is a non-sequential program. Now, that's important for several reasons. One, it's important for my experienced real estate investors out there that have 1, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20. It doesn't matter how many you have. If you want to take your game to the next level, this is for you. But also for the investors that are just starting out, that are going to work their way from 1 to 15, but then they want to go back and they want to revisit module 9 and revisit module 11, and then maybe go back to module 2. Keep in mind, folks, this program is yours forever. It's online, it gets updated annually, and it's yours forever. So Real Estate Investing Canada, this online program is like nothing you've ever seen before. It's absolutely amazing, and we have a special price for you today. And it's literally for today only. Let me tell you about it.